Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. The RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das says festive demand paints a mixed picture, firmly believes the economy is doing well, remains confident of rural demand revival on the back of a good rabi crop sowing season. That's a CNBC TV 18 exclusive.
The banking sector and the NBFC sector at the system level, they remain very robust.
Governor Shaktikanta Das asserts there is no systemic risk in the banking or the NBFC sector, says measures taken against select NBFCs were in the best interest of consumers, as some NBFCs and MFIs were proving to be outliers. Prime Minister Modi and Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez jointly inaugurate the Tata Aircraft Complex for manufacturing the C-295 aircraft in Vadodara. This will be the first private military aircraft manufacturing facility in India with at least 75% tech transfer. The Union Defence Secretary Giridhar Armane says the C-295 aircraft made in India will be cheaper than other countries, hints at expanding the assembly line for exports while simultaneously meeting India's needs. That's an exclusive. Bharti Airtel reports a better than expected operational performance in Q2. Profit nearly triples on a yearly basis, but profit declines 14% compared to Q1. A one-time exceptional cost offsets the gains from tariff hikes. Ambuja Cements beats Street in the second quarter, volumes up by 15%, outpacing the industry average. 138 crore rupee incentive from the West Bengal government bolsters Ambuja Cements' EBITDA. The government's Consumer Affairs Department is critically examining Ola Electric's response to the show cause notice. Sources say the CCPA will correlate responses of consumers with Ola's claims that 99% of complaints have been resolved, adding that the authority is also analysing customer complaints against another EV OEM. The epidemic of hoax bomb threats continue to wreak havoc on airlines and airports ahead of Diwali. At least 62 flights received bomb threats just today, throwing the aviation industry into disarray. This takes the tally of hoax threats to over 400 in 2 weeks. Iran's military chief warns Tel Aviv of bitter consequences after the Israeli army struck their military sites on Saturday. Tehran says it's weighing a response. Israel continues its attack on Lebanon. Multiple airstrikes reported in Beirut's southern suburbs. Trump and Harris campaigns enter the last week. Donald Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden sees a packed house as he doubles down on his promise of reversing an immigration invasion. A comedian speaking ahead of Trump refers to Puerto Rico as a floating island of garbage. Kamala Harris campaigns in Philadelphia, calls it the most consequential election of their lifetime. Political turmoil in Japan. The ruling coalition fails to win a majority in the lower house. Prime Minister Ishiba needs to find a new coalition partner to form government. Well, straight to the day's trading action. Dalal Street snapping its 5-day losing streak today ended in the green. The Nifty and the Sensex gained over 0.5%, but come off their intraday highs at close. Broader markets also did better today than the blue chips. 158 points higher on the Nifty. The Sensex 600 points higher, almost a 500-point gain on both the Nifty, Bank as well as the Nifty mid-cap. Well, that's the market snapshot for you. Tensions in West Asia, meanwhile, continue to mount. The top commander of Iran's military has warned Israel that it would face bitter consequences after its attack on the Iranian military sites on Saturday. The Israeli strikes have killed 4 Iranian soldiers. Tel Aviv said it was in retaliation to the October 1 attack by Iran, which fired about 200 missiles at Israel. Tehran has said it is weighing a response and will use all available tools to respond to the attack. Israel, meanwhile, continued its attack on Lebanon. At least 21 people have died, including 3 paramedics in Beirut's southern suburbs. Israeli jets also struck a neighborhood in the city of Tyre, killing at least 5 people and injuring 10 others. Let's head straight to the big news maker this evening. A CNBC TV 18 exclusive. Reserve Bank Governor Shaktikanta Das says the festive season demand has painted a mixed picture. Speaking exclusively to CNBC TV 18 in Washington, the governor said he believes the economy is still doing reasonably well, with the positives outweighing the negatives. The governor also highlighted that there was no systemic risk in the banking or the NBFC sectors. He added that financial indicators continue to remain strong, asserting that measures taken against certain NBFCs were in the best interest of customers, as there were some outliers present in the system that required course correction. Take a look.
There are some mixed signals. The festival season, the first quarter, the growth rate was lower than what we had expected. Second quarter numbers will come only at the end of November. Second quarter also, there was some unseasonal rains in the month of August, etc. Some activities got affected. But even in the festive season, there is some narrative that perhaps the sales figures and certain things have slowed down. But what I would like to emphasize is that there are mixed signals. There are pluses, there are some positives, there are some negatives. But I think the positives significantly outweigh the negatives. Inflation management, price stability is our primary responsibility, keeping in mind the objective of growth. At the moment, as we stated in the last monetary policy statement, as I have said, the growth and inflation component of our mandates are well balanced, they are well poised. So therefore, we changed our stance to neutral. Now we have flexibility. We have now flexibility to watch the incoming trends and to sort of assess the evolving outlook and decide on what policy we will take. Now, growth is doing well. Inflation also has started moderating, and we expect the inflation to moderate as we go into November, December, and into the last quarter of this financial year. There is no systemic risk. In fact, I would like to emphasize that at the moment, at the system level, the banking sector and the NBFC sector, at the system level, they remain very robust. The various parameters, the regulatory parameters, the various financial indicators of both banking and NBFC sector, they continue to be very strong. So at the systemic level, there is no problem.
Well, that's the RBI Governor, and you can catch the exclusive interview with him tonight at 9:30 p.m. on CNBC TV 18 on a whole host of issues from inflation to the possibility of an extension. On to earnings corner. Bharti Airtel reporting a better than expected operational performance in the second quarter. The telecom giant's net profit nearly tripled to 3,593 crore rupees on a yearly basis. However, sequentially, Airtel's net profit declined by 14%, and that is because of a one-time forex loss of 854 crore rupees, which offset gains from tariff hikes. So that's Bharti Airtel from you. And more earnings. Ambuja Cements gained 3.5% after it beat the street expectations in Q2. Volumes grew by 15%, outpacing the industry average. The company also got an incentive of 138 crore rupees from the West Bengal government, which accounted for half of its EBITDA beat. Farmer major Sun Farmer's Q2 performance met expectations owing to lower expenditure on research and development, as well as strong sales from its business in the US. Net profit grew by 28%, beating street estimates. Revenues and margins were in line with expectations, aided by a rise in global specialty sales. Vari Energy is making a stellar debut on the stock markets. It listed at a 67% premium over the issue price. However, the stock corrected around 10% post its listing. The IPO generated a strong response from all categories of investors, especially institutional investors. Food delivery major Swiggy has set the price of its upcoming IPO 390 rupees at the upper band, according to a Bloomberg report. Now, this pricing would peg the SoftBank-backed firm's valuation at $11.3 billion, which is 25% lower than its initial goal of a $15 billion valuation. Swiggy plans to open its IPO for bids from 6th to the 8th of November and aims to raise $1.35 billion. So that is going to be an IPO to watch out for. Shares of First Source Solutions surging more than 10% in trade today. This after the RP Sanjeev Goenka Group company raised its FY25 constant currency revenue growth guidance to between 19.5% and 20.5%. This is significantly higher than the company's earlier guidance. Speaking to CNBC TV 18, First Source Chairman Sanjeev Goenka said the company won 3 large deals during the September quarter, adding that more large deal wins are expected in the current quarter as well.
In constant currency terms, it's about 6.6% above quarter on quarter, 22.7% over last year, same quarter. So that's a very good thing. It's for the company. This quarter, we had 3 large wins. And the coming quarter, we expect to have at least 3, if not more than 3 large wins.
Well, that's Sanjeev Goenka on the First Source Solution results. Now, Prime Minister Modi and Spanish Prime Minister jointly inaugurated the Tata Aircraft Complex for manufacturing the C-295 aircraft in Vadodara. This will be the first private sector final assembly line for the military aircraft for its manufacturing here. The first C-295 aircraft to be made in India will be rolled out off the Vadodara facility in 2026. Both Prime Ministers said the move would not only modernize India's defence capability, but also drive technology development. Take a look.
आज से हम भारत और स्पेन की पार्टनरशिप को नई दिशा दे रहे हैं। हम C-295 ट्रांसपोर्ट एयरक्राफ्ट के प्रोडक्शन की फैक्ट्री का शुभारंभ कर रहे हैं। ये फैक्ट्री भारत स्पेन संबंधों को मजबूती देने के साथ ही मेक इन इंडिया, मेक फॉर द वर्ल्ड इस मिशन को भी सशक्त करने वाली है।
The C-295 India program is not only about delivering essential capability to the Indian Air Force. It is also demonstrating Airbus's and Tata's joint capacity and commitment to India. The Make in India C-295 program has become an industrial benchmark, which is aligned to the Prime Minister Modi's vision of self-reliance or Atma Nirbharat Bharat.
And staying with that story, Union Defence Secretary Giridhar Armane has said that the C-295 aircraft made in India will be cheaper than other countries. In an exclusive conversation with CNBC TV 18, the Defence Secretary also hinted at expanding the assembly line for exports while simultaneously meeting India's needs. Take a look.
If 75% of the manufacturing can be done in India, India can negotiate, Tatas can negotiate with Airbus that we can be your licensed production agents for other countries also in this region. We will be the cheaper than other countries in the manufacturing activities. So we will definitely have an advantage in manufacturing the C-295 aircraft when compared to other countries. So exports are a definite possibility. Once our requirement is met fully, I think we can concentrate on the exports. And meanwhile, if we get interest from some other countries, we can even expand the assembly line capacity and start working on exporting these simultaneously.
Right. So you're saying that the possibility of exporting to other nations in the region, are you talking about only India's neighborhood, Southeast Asia, Indo-Pacific?
There is a possibility of worldwide export also. But this, not only the aircraft as a whole, but the component manufacturing can really boost our exports in a major way. Suppose we can export various components and sub-assemblies to whoever is manufacturing this aircraft. It's almost like exporting 50% of the aircraft. That way, benefit will be there this way or that way. You can either export the assembled aircraft or the components. In the medium term, I am looking for a large-scale expansion of the SMEs and vendors within the country to become part of the global vendor chain of these companies.
That's the Defence Secretary. Now, the All India Cabin Crew Association has called Air India's proposal to provide sharing rooms for its cabin crew illegal. In a letter to the Chief Labour Commissioner, the Cabin Crew Association has urged the ministry to stall the move and deemed the proposal in violation of global aviation norms. Remember, Air India had proposed to introduce a room-sharing policy for its cabin crew for all overnight layovers from the 1st of December. The epidemic of hoax bomb threats continues to wreak havoc on airlines and airports ahead of Diwali. At least 62 flights received bomb threats just today, throwing the aviation industry into disarray. This includes more than 40 flights of Air India, Indigo and Vistara. At least 50 flights also received similar threats yesterday, and 2 of them were diverted as a precautionary measure. It's not just the aviation industry that is struggling with hoaxes. The Taj Hotel in Lucknow received a bomb threat via an email. Following similar threats were issued to 10 hotels in the city yesterday. Security has been heightened in Tirupati after an ISKCON temple received a threat yesterday, and this comes a few days after multiple hotels in the temple town received a host of bomb threats via email. The Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu announced that the government is considering stricter measures to curb these hoax bomb threats, adding that the centre was exploring amendments to 2 civil aviation laws. Up next on India Business Hour, the government's Consumer Affairs Department is critically examining Ola Electric's response to its show cause notice. That and more when we return. Well, you can catch all of CNBC TV 18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. With just 24 hours to go for the deadline to file nominations in the battle for Maharashtra, the state will vote in a single phase on the 20th of November. The two major alliances are still finalizing seat-sharing agreements. The BJP has released a third list of candidates, bringing its tally to 146. The Mahayuti alliance has nominated candidates for 249 out of the 288 seats so far. Maharashtra's Chief Minister Eknath Shinde filed his nomination. He will contest against UBT's candidate Kedar Dige. The Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar also filed his nomination from Baramati, where it will be a battle within the Pawar family. Ajit Pawar will be up against his nephew Yogendra Pawar. Aditya Thackeray will take on Milind Deora in the battle for Mumbai's Worli constituency. Speaking to Network 18, Thackeray made a case for his father, Uddhav Thackeray, to return as Chief Minister. He also added that this battle is about the future of the state and not about the post of Chief Minister.
This is not a personal battle. Had it been a personal battle, we could have either chosen to be fighting as we are fighting today, or we could have done something else, aside from politics. What is crucial is our state, Maharashtra. Maharashtra is facing the biggest challenge of its time as we see today. The BJP-supported Eknath Shinde government here is absolutely corrupt, clueless, incapable, and is destroying Maharashtra, is looting Maharashtra.
Well, from Maharashtra now to Karnataka. Former Karnataka High Court Judge Justice K.S. Puttaswamy has passed away at the age of 98. He was the key petitioner in the case which led to the Supreme Court's historic decision on the right to privacy in 2017. Justice Puttaswamy was one of the first litigants to challenge the centre's mandatory Aadhaar scheme. The apex court did not strike down the scheme, but it recognized the right to privacy as a fundamental right. Political turmoil in Japan. The ruling coalition fails to win the majority in the lower house. Prime Minister Ishiba needs to find a new coalition partner to form a government. With less than a week left for the U.S. presidential elections, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are sprinting to make their final pitches to voters. Trump held a large rally at a packed house in New York's Madison Square Garden. He promised to launch the largest deportation program in the history of America if he becomes president. His rally was backed by high-profile individuals, including the world's richest man, Elon Musk. Trump's rally drew immense criticism, especially after a comedian called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. The former president's comments led to Puerto Rican stars, including Bad Bunny and Ricky Martin, throwing their hats in support of Kamala Harris. She's been campaigning, meanwhile, in the swing state of Pennsylvania. Speaking at a rally in Philadelphia on Sunday, she accused Trump of waging a selfish campaign of vengeance.
November 5th, 2024, 9 days from now, will be Liberation Day in America. It's going to be Liberation Day. On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of criminals coming into our country. And I will bring back the American dream. We need the American dream.
Here in Pennsylvania right now, each of us has an opportunity to make a difference. Because in this moment, we do face a real question. What kind of country do we want to live in? That's before us right now. What kind of country do we want for our children and our grandchildren? A country of chaos, fear, and hate, or a country of freedom, justice, and compassion?
The Harley-Davidson was a non-issue, but it became a big bee in his bonnet. Fortunately, that would be behind us. He's also called us tariff king in the past. So I think tariffs will come back in some form or the other. If, say, Harris comes, for instance, there could be issues in tariff, in trade, in immigration. There could be issues on our relationship with Russia. No matter who comes, the importance of the India-US relationship is recognized by the overall establishment.
I accept your nomination.
We're going to win Arizona. We're going to defeat Kamala Harris.
It's the election verdict the world is watching. Will Donald Trump reclaim the White House and become the oldest president to be sworn in?
How will this US election impact global trade and inflation?
Will Kamala Harris make history, becoming the first woman president of the United States of America?
how will the next US president deal with geopolitical volatility? What next for the India-US relationship, the most defining partnership of the 21st century? What's CNBC TV 18 for the best newsmakers and the sharpest analysis?
We bring you all the action live right here on CNBC TV 18. Well, do stay tuned to CNBC TV 18 for the US election coverage. But here's another exclusive tonight. The government's Consumer Affairs Department is critically examining Ola Electric's response to the show cause notice. Sources told us that the CCPA will correlate responses of consumers with Ola Electric's claims that 99% of the complaints have in fact been resolved. Now, caught in the middle of complaints, regulatory ire and a comedian's jibe, Ola Electric claimed that they had resolved 99% of customer complaints. The ongoing spat between comedian Kunal Kamra and Ola founder Bhavish Agarwal took a new turn when Kamra shared a video on his X page suggesting that the Ola stores had hired bouncers to tackle aggrieved customers. Is the claim real? CNBC TV 18's Rachna Dhanrajani visited a store in Mumbai while Danish Anand in Noida and Abhimanyu Sharma dropped by at 2 NCR stores to find out.
I am outside an Ola store here in Malad area of Mumbai. This is one of the biggest stores in the city, and as you can see, even this one is at capacity with the scooters that are coming back from users for complaints, for servicing. While Ola has said that they have resolved 99% of the complaints, the picture seems to be very different on the ground here. When I visited the store just before we started recording this, we in fact got pushed out by a team of bouncers that has been hired. What we've understood after speaking with the employees of Ola is that a service center has a capability of about 10 to 12 tickets per day. That's about servicing 10 to 12 scooters per day. But they are receiving, this particular store has been receiving about 25 to 30 scooters as complaints per day, which is why the backlog, which is why the time that it's taking to resolve these issues. And visited another store in Mumbai, in Parel area, which is the South Mumbai area. There wasn't a team of bouncers there. There weren't many scooters outside.
While Ola Electric continues to see regulatory heat due to rising consumer complaints, its showroom in Noida are seeing strong footfall. The staff working at the service center and the showroom tell us that they cater to basic consumer complaints, which are mostly restricted to rash chewing wires. They did point out that they have to wait for an approval from the Bengaluru head office in order to replace certain spare parts that cost over rupees 30,000.
हमारे पास ऐसी कोई कंप्लेंट नहीं बढ़ी. अगर कंप्लेंट होती तो सर यहाँ पे हमारे पास भीड़ लगी होती. हमारे पास रिजॉल्व 15 से 20 मिनट में जितना पॉसिबल होता है उतना रिजॉल्व करके देते हैं. हमारे पास बाउंसर अवेलेबल नहीं है. कुछ सेक्टरों में देखे गए हैं बाउंसर, लेकिन वहाँ पे अवेलेबल नहीं. 1-2 दिन के लिए गए थे वहाँ पे, पर वहाँ से रिमूव कर दिया गया है. वो छोटी मोटी प्रॉब्लम आ रही थी जिस वजह से जो नॉर्मल लोकल के कस्टमर थे वो प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कर रहे थे, जिस वजह से हमारे कुछ कस्टमर पे हाथापाई हुई, जिस वजह से बाउंसर आ गए थे.
Sales of Ola Electric had witnessed a decline since April this year. The staff of service centers and sales outlets we visited claimed that sales are witnessing an upward trajectory during the festive season. However, they flagged issues like a rise in prices, a rise in regulatory costs, as well as withdrawal or reduction in subsidies by several state governments and even by the central government. Earlier this month, the Central Consumer Protection Authority had issued a show cause notice to Ola Electric over unresolved consumer complaints. In response, Ola Electric had said that over 99% of the complaints forwarded to it by the CCPA had already been resolved. The Department of Consumer Affairs as well as the Consumer Protection Body is yet to respond to the response which has been submitted.
With Rachna Dhanrajani in Mumbai, Abhimanyu Sharma in New Delhi, this is Danish Anand for CNBC TV 18.
And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. From all of us here, thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned. The news will continue on CNBC TV 18.